YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with our Week 1 NFL score predictions, predicting the score to every single NFL game all year long. This video goes up every Wednesday afternoon. Straight up picks with the other guys at the Goat House already up for Week 1, goes up every Tuesday night. Power rankings every Tuesday, already up for this week. A lot more content to come during in season here, and hopefully you can join us for all that. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow our Twitter live updates, always talking during live games as well. Super followers on Twitter get loads of bonus content. Check it out. Picks leagues. We got picks leagues again this year. Now, actually multiple of them this time. Cool prizes, ways for you guys to get involved in picks videos. Link pin in the comments for that. Prizes supplied by the GLD shop you see underneath me. They have real gold NFL pendants and chains, all kinds of different options there. Very affordable too, especially if you use our 33% off code GOATS. But there's a link down below for that. Real cool stuff. And you see Aaron Jones and Micah Parsons, they rock their stuffs, and I'm rocking the Chiefs chain right now. But we're holding a giveaway with them. More info pinned in the comments. There's a link, and they are supplying the league prizes this year. So check it out. A lot more info down there, useful links pinned in the comments section. First game, I got a squeaker. 1-point game, as you can see. Bills versus the Rams. Tomorrow night, actually, to kick off the season. Should be a good one. Bills are favored by 2.5. I mean, it's the defending champs home. Yeah, fresh off winning the Super Bowl, and they're underdogs by 2.5. Well, it's because they play a pretty tough team in the Bills. This game could definitely go either way. This was a few weeks ago. I probably would have predicted a higher score. I think a lot of people are expecting a whole lot of offense because we got two great offenses, but what people forget is there's two pretty solid defenses here, and maybe it takes a little bit for some of these offenses to get going. But so I'm going to go 24-23, tight game. It's really not a game I would put money on. Whether it's against the spread or if you're confident about a winner, maybe a money line, where the Bills are probably favored in that, obviously. But over/under is tricky because, like I said, maybe a couple weeks ago I would have said probably over. Now I'm kind of getting at the under there because I think there's gonna be a bit of defense here. I think the difference is looking at the two defenses. I think the offenses are solid, but looking at these defenses, which one's more likely to create some turnovers? I think maybe the Bills against Stafford, who could continue to get better, second year on the Rams here, and they have Von Miller, formerly with the Rams, obviously getting after the quarterback there. So I think the Bills defense makes the extra play. Tre'Davious White is out in Week 1, so maybe that could be costly for the Bills, but then they make that extra play and kind of game planning for, looking at the offensive side of things. Game planning for Josh Allen's pretty tough, having to deal with him, mainly with his running ability, because you already know what he can do, and your first part of the game plan is what he can do down the field through the air. So, going to go with the Bills by 1. That's a good game to start off the year there. Saints-Falcons, I'm going to go 27-17 Saints, so they're covering the 5.5 by a bit there. The Falcons, they were pretty impressive during preseason. It is just preseason, but they could be a little tricky for teams, having to deal with that Mariota-style offense, and then Kyle Pitts, Drake London having to match up with those types of guys. Pretty tough, but if there's a defense that could do it, maybe it's difficult for any defense in Week 1, coming right out the gate, trying to get in shape here. But if there's a defense that can do it, I think it's the Saints defense. They got load of good players in the secondary. They did lose C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I'm still not worried. They got a load of good players in the secondary, like I said. And they got key pieces everywhere on defense. And the Saints offense, the Saints are tough to play Week 1 because they're fully healthy right now. It's a team that was good last year, decent last year, but were very beat up. So dealing with them Week 1 is pretty tough when they're fully healthy. They have weapons at the receiver position, running back position. Winston could air it out, obviously. And the Falcons defense, I'm not fully trusting yet, maybe heading in the right direction. So I definitely like the Saints scoring around this amount of points. The Falcons could score more than 17. I just really like the Saints defense. Maybe early in the game, if the Falcons start with the ball, I could see them under the script just going down there and scoring right away. And people might be like, okay, watch out. But then I think as the game goes on, the Saints kind of figure things out, slow them down defensively. So I do have the Saints covering by a decent amount here. But if the Falcons could win that one to start the year, that'd be pretty big there. Obviously, division rival game there at home. Got to take care of business at home against the teams you play twice a year, right? Next, Niners and Bears. I got a low-scoring game here, 23-13. The Niners are favored by 7. Really like the Niners defense. I think it'll be the best in football. Jimmy Ward is out, a big-time safety of theirs. So that is where maybe things can get a little bit tough, where their weaknesses at the safety in general at the safety position. So maybe the Bears want to expose that. They'll probably try to run Fields a bit. But, it's still a tough defense, especially that pass rush. Nick Bosa obviously leads the way, but Armstead, the way he moves around, Kinlaw with his interior pressure, etc. And that's going to be tough against that Bears offensive line, an inexperienced quarterback, and then, not having the top options for Fields to spread the ball out there. But the key is for Fields to get outside the pocket and use his legs for sure. But I don't expect a whole lot of scoring there. Niners, they have an inexperienced quarterback as well, which could kind of be up and down, especially with his accuracy. But it's a pretty good situation for Trey Lance to be in, being on the 49ers, and looks somewhat impressive during preseason. Same with Justin Fields, so maybe he can get going here and there. But Niners are going to want to run the ball, like they usually do, and I think they'll run a lot of clock doing that, keep this a low-scoring game. I do, something to monitor is the 49ers interior offensive line. It's a little worrisome this year. We'll see how it is. They're gonna run behind Trent Williams as they should there. So I think the Niners take care of business here, mainly with their defense. The Bears defense could be sneaky solid. Only giving up 23 points here. Just, that's the thing. The Niners defense is the problem with the matchup for the Bears in this game. They got to use Fields' legs. That's what they got to do here. So Niners win in Chicago. Steelers at Bengals, 6.5 line, and maybe a little much. I'm not too far off my score prediction, but maybe a little much for week one in a division rival game week one. Who knows? But I got the Bengals winning 24-20. I think it'll kind of stay close. I think it'd be one of those games where it's like, you might get a couple drives in a row where it may look, this might be an offensive game. We might get that kind of early on. Kind of a gut feeling, but then it kind of really slows down, ends up being a defensive game. I think the Bengals figure out how to get pressure on Trubisky, expose the Steelers' offensive line. The Steelers' defense, as this game goes on, could start to look like that old Mike Tomlin Steelers defense. And we didn't see too much of last year here and there. It seems like that it pops up in division rival games all the time. So, it's just tough. Do the Steelers have the collection of defensive backs to deal with the Bengals group there, the receiver group, and then, Steelers struggle to stop the run last year. They could be a little bit better, so could the Bengals win that way? So the key will be the Steelers to continue to get pressure, and the Bengals might try to avoid allowing that much pressure on Burrow by running the ball. So the thing to watch is, where's the Steelers' run defense at? Is it terrible like it was last year? Did it get better? How much better is it in a game like this where it's key? So some curious things to watch in a game like this. The Bengals' new offensive line, is it better? Going against a pretty good pass rush here. Ogunjobi going from the Bengals to Steelers. A lot to watch. The more I talk about, the more intrigued I am here. But I'm going to go the Bengals here, 24-20. Again, I feel like there's going to be like spurts of this game where it's like, this might be a shootout. And it's going to be like, no, it's dead. This is all defense all of a sudden. So maybe back and forth between that. I kind of can see that. So I'm going to go Bengals here at home. If it was in Pittsburgh, I don't know what I would do in that one, man. That'd be tough there. But yeah, it's a tough one to bet on. 6.5, like I said, I was a little surprised that it was that high, but I can make arguments that the Bengals just match up extremely well. Like, they have too many options at receiver for this. It's Minkah Fitzpatrick out there in the back end, and then it's just too much for Steelers to handle, and the Bengals should be able to run on them if they wanted to. So it's like you can't really focus on one thing. So that'd be the reason why the Bengals, if they end up beating them up pretty good, but it's a division, big-time rival game here. I like to keep it close. Eagles and Lions, this almost feels like a trap game with that line sitting at 4. Eagles are favored, so it's not too much of a trap maybe, but it's 4. You would predict Vegas would have it at like 7, 6, 7, 8, maybe a half point in there, but they don't. They have it at 4, so I'm like, what is going on here? I mean, it is week 1. If there is a week to pick a lot of upsets, you don't want to get carried away, but it would be week 1 because mysterious things happen. It's just very tough to do, though. But the matchup, I always look at the matchup. I think the Eagles should dominate this. I still think the Lions, with an improving defense, really good young pieces that they have, I still think they could struggle here and there. What I worry about is kind of setting the edge, on the outside, allowing quarterbacks to scramble, get outside, allowing outside runs. And that's what the Eagles do, man. They're going to wear you out while doing it as well, and they should be able to improve their passing game with the weapons they have, and Hurts kind of progressing perhaps. A big, eyes on Hurts, because this is a game where we should see some progression, unless they just pound the football the whole game, get the ball outside, whether it's Hurts or the running backs or A.J. Brown, end around, and then run the clock, and it's what they should be able to do. So I got them scoring 30, And the Lions, again, I think their defense is definitely heading in the right direction because I love the young pieces they have. I love the way they've been drafting, but it's still a little bit of work in progress. Offensively, I think they might be more of an offensive team, but the Eagles' defense is pretty solid as well. They're pretty balanced all the way through. But the Lions offensive line should be able to hold down the pass rush. I do worry about the interior. The interior is the key to watch here. I think the Eagles' interior group, Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, Javon Hargrave, throw Milton Williams in there. Watch out for those guys, that group in a game like this. I think the Lions' offensive line is solid. It is solid, But it's something to watch out. I think they kind of can get going here. Maybe not allow the Lions to do enough where the Eagles can hold the ball, run up some points here. So I'm pretty confident with them. Lions were pretty good against the spread last year, so maybe that's why it's a little lower. They are home. There's a lot of hype here. So we'll see. We'll see. It's a big game because there's a lot of hype around the Lions right now. I don't know if a lot of people are expecting them to beat the Eagles, but, there's going to be a lot of talk about them. And the Eagles got a ton of hype. I mean, maybe one of the most hyped up teams this offseason. So if they start the year losing the Lions, I'm a guy doesn't overreact too much. It doesn't tell us much about the rest of the year. But think about what the world would do, what would say. It's kind of a big game here with the hype, hype surrounding it. So I'll go with the Eagles. But yeah, I think they're going to add some more blitz because they blitz a very little amount last year, and that could be, what the Lions don't expect. I mean, there's no game plan for that, and the tackles of the Lions should be able to hold down the edge rushers. So maybe a guy like Reddick blitzing in this game could be interesting as well. Patriots and Dolphins starting here, playing each other again. Division rival game here. I'm going to go lower scoring, 23-17. I don't have a whole lot of trust in the Patriots' play. It's mainly the play calling because I like Mac Jones. I like the offensive line. The running backs are solid. The receivers aren't the best in the world, but they're pretty deep. They got options that can play. Obviously, they got tight ends. I just don't trust the play calling. Didn't look great in preseason. Maybe we're basing too much off the preseason, but the Dolphins' defense is also very solid. They got pass rushers. They got guys in the secondary. They got linebackers, but they blitz and really throw young quarterbacks off, so that could be a factor in this one. And the Dolphins' offense, exciting to watch, how Tua will be under this new offensive system, new coach, Tyreek Hill, another year with Jalen Waddle, guys like that. I think the Dolphins maybe can have moments in this game where they look like they're going to put up a lot of points, and then it kind of has the moments where it's a defensive game as well. Patriots defense, curious to see where it's going to be at because at the end of the year pretty poorly. So we'll see if we get a Belichick type defense out here. But I'm going to go Dolphins 23, Patriots 17. This is more of a must-win game for the Dolphins. Like if you start the year losing home against the Patriots, games that you won last year, games that you expect to win, it's tough. So I feel like that's a must-win. I mean, every team is a must-win. You want to get out there and want to win, but for the Dolphins there, because they lose this one, it's not looking. You can't really have takeaways for the rest of the year, but it's not a great start. Obviously, anybody that loses, but just a must-win game for the reasons I explained there. Ravens-Jets, I got a big victory for the Ravens here, 31-16. They are favored by 7. That's a lot for week 1. Weird things happen in week 1. They happen in week 2 and week 3 as well, early portion of the season. But the Ravens take care of business. Fresh Lamar. It's a terrible draw to play the Ravens first because a team that's very good but has been beat up with injuries but healthy right now. Their stars are going to be out there healthy. So that's a terrible draw for the Jets. Dealing with Lamar in week 1 on top of it, you got to be in some crazy shape and kind of be ready for that. That's like the last team you want to play first. So I got the Ravens scoring 31. I think they'll look just fine on offense in this game. The Jets defense can be sneaky this year. I like, well coached, a lot of young pieces, but tough one in week 1 to deal with the Ravens. And the Jets, it's going to be Flacco. I think you can have some moments here and there where it's like Flacco versus the Ravens. Okay, some flashes, but just not enough there, obviously. I think they're gonna. What I think they're gonna do is try to get the ball outside of their running backs. Passing game, running game. Breece Hall, Michael Carter. I think that's really what they're gonna try to do. So that's something to watch out for there. I just got the Ravens take care of business on this one though, so we'll see. They are away. They're in New York, and stranger things have happened in week 1. Jaguars, Commanders. So I have the underdog in this one. Jags are underdogs by 2.5. I have them winning by 2. So. Yeah, I do like them winning. I think the Jaguars might be tough this season, really, but tough to deal with early on. Trevor Lawrence, it's not really going to be the same guy we saw last year. His running ability is sneaky as well, so you got that to deal with. ETN and the run game and the pass game, and you're throwing James Robinson in there. So it's just hard to game plan. Doug Peterson offense, it's hard to game plan for it right out the gate in week 1. So I'm feeling the Jaguars, and Washington's missing Chase Young. That's a big factor. But Carson Wentz could come out here and play well, and I could see it. Could play well, better than maybe expected in week 1 here against his former coach, Doug Peterson. I think it's a possibility, but I'm feeling the Jags, and there's like more of the element of surprise. Like, what do we expect from? I think we know we're going to expect from the Commanders. Carson Wentz can run a lot of RPO. They're going to run the ball a bit. Defensively, it's same Rivera defense, which could be solid, but they're missing Chase Young. I think Trevor Lawrence going to have a lot of time back there. It's pretty much relying on the interior pressure of Jonathan Allen, which he could get, and Montez Sweat, who's been a little inconsistent, but a bright future there. So I like the Jags. I like Lawrence in this game. So excited to watch it. It is in Washington. It's in D.C., so we'll see. I think anything can happen in this game. I'm just feeling the Jags here, plus 2.5. Maybe if you're feeling the money line on them, it's not a bad bet at all. Browns and Panthers. I got a squeaker in the Baker revenge game. 20-21. Panthers take it. The Panthers only favored by 1.5, so that's pretty tough. First you're thinking about it like, Brissett versus Baker. Baker's pissed off. He says he's going to F him up. I think he could do that. Could see it, but you got to think about the rest of the Browns. Like, solid running game with that solid offensive line. I think you can run on the Panthers. It's not a bad defense, but I think you could run on them. And then defensively, the Browns are very stout on defense, and they know Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield also knows them, but they got the pass rush. They got everything. Got the secondary. They got everything there. So, I think the Panthers will take care of business here, just because just the slight difference, not really slight, but the difference in quarterback play could be the difference. The Panthers are fully healthy. They have McCaffrey out there, so they have those playmakers. Even on defense, Jeremy Chin, Brian Burns, Shaq Thompson, and a couple young corners there. So they have the pieces as well. I just think it's going to a lot of running clock in this game, which keeps it low scoring. And then maybe a little bit more of the Browns defense and what people were talking about, perhaps. But the Panthers win by 1 here. Colts and Texans, I might have went a little bold. It's right on the line, so I wouldn't touch this one. -7 it went from 8 to 7, so interesting, but not that interesting, but kind of. So I do have them winning by 7, but I went bold having the Texans score 24 maybe, because I do see a scenario where they score like 10. I definitely see that scenario. I'm not going to be shocked if it is, but I went a little bold here. Texans tweaking her system a little bit to fit Davis Mills a little more. I don't think they showed it in preseason until that last game against the Niners, where they looked pretty impressive. So maybe they have some things hidden there, and they could be tough on the ground with Dameon Pierce. And Colts got a lot of ball players on defense, but switching schemes a little bit. Not really their base defense, but their system with Gus Bradley out there running some different coverages. So maybe kind of adjustments need to be made, perhaps. So I think the Texans could surprise a little bit and score a little bit more than expected. But I think the Colts will be just fine on offense, whether it's on the ground with Jonathan Taylor, through the air, Matt Ryan, Michael Pittman, those tight ends. So I think the Colts will do enough damage on offense for sure. So, curious to see what the Texans offense can do. I'm not trusting their defense too much, but they're healthy on the offensive line right now, which is big. They got a running back, and they have a new system that's fitting their young quarterback a little better. So they should be able to do more than what people are expecting offensively. They should be able to put up 20-plus points here. So perhaps. Maybe it's asking a bit, but it's just kind of a feeling I have there. But the Colts right on that line of -7 there. So that's just one I wouldn't touch, really. Next, Giants and Titans, somewhat low scoring here at this one. The Titans are favored by 5.5. I have them winning by, 7? Yeah, so 7 points there. Yeah, just not trusting the Giants' offense a whole lot. I could see a scenario where they start with the ball their first time on offense. They go and score pretty quickly off the script. I can definitely see that with the Giants. And then maybe people kind of getting hyped there, but then the Titans' defense adjusts, and the Giants' offense off the script. I could definitely see that. So something to expect possibly. And Titans got a tough defense. That defense is real solid. I know they're missing Harold Landry, but they should be able to slow down Daniel Jones. They create a turnover or two, take care of business. They were best in football stopping a run last year, so if the Giants want to focus on Barkley, it might be pretty tough. I think the run defense won't take a hit from losing Landry, the edge guy. So the run defense will be very solid in terms of the run defense. So I just don't trust the Giants to do enough offensively. Titans offensively, it's tough because the Giants will probably stack the box for Derrick Henry, and I think the Titans should come out throwing down the sideline. That's what I think they should do. because of that, try to predict the game plan there. Well, just take what they give you as well, what they line up. Tannehill's going to have a solid game here. I think Derrick Henry can run well, and the Giants actually have the pieces to kind of slow the run a little bit. So the Titans got to come out, in my opinion, throwing, but then they really can throw off the Giants offense. But yeah, a lot of running clock in this one. I mean, the Giants can slow them down just enough to keep it somewhat manageable to stay in the game there. But I'm going to go Titans 23-16. Packers, Vikings. I got the Vikings in a squeaker, 26-24. The Packers are favored by 1.5. Division rival game. Could see it going either way. I like the Vikings early in the year because we know they have talent, and I think it's a tough game plan because it's a totally different offensive system and defense. They switch schemes as well. A team like the Packers, like Aaron Rodgers, could adjust for sure, but they're used to the same old Vikings team where it's different. They don't have anything on film. Nothing on film. They didn't even play their guys in preseason, so that's tough. Packers do got a very tough defense, though. I think this can be another one of those games where it's like there's going to be a stretch where it's like, man, this is going to be a shootout. Cousins to Jefferson, instant touchdown. Rodgers to Lazard, or maybe in the running end. Watch out for the Packers running game in this one. That could be the key to victory here. So it could be looking like a shootout, and then all of a sudden just a lot of defense there, for a stretch, due to the Packers having a stout defense. And the Vikings maybe, taking advantage of the Packers' lack of top-tier receivers there, perhaps. So maybe one of those games like that. But this is a game the Vikings, I think, should win. I'm actually surprised it's not a even line or their favorite. I think this is a bigger win. I think it's more of a must-win for the Vikings. I think it's a bigger win if the Packers pull it off. In Minnesota, week 1, the Vikings just have to be a tough game plan. Even if it doesn't look like it, like if the Packers destroy them or for some reason, I still am going to stay with that take. It's got to be a tough game plan for the Vikings for everything I explained, for the reasons I explained. So this will be a massive win. I think it's a bigger win if the Packers win, for all those reasons. So should be a fun game here. I think both teams will find success here and there throughout this game on both sides of the ball. But I got the Vikings by 2 in that one. And I do think the Packers will be a better team. It might be close. Some people are riding the Vikings recently. I noticed that. And Kirk Cousins, people picking them to win the MVP. But I still think the Packers, when it's said and done, figure out how to win that division. I really think so. So we'll see. Chiefs and Cardinals, we got a good old-fashioned shootout here on this one. And, yeah, a little surprised by the 6.5, even though I'm not too far off with the 3. Not super close. But I could see the Cardinals win this game. If they had DeAndre Hopkins, I'm going to be picking the Cardinals in this one. That could be they have other weapons, so don't get me wrong there. But Cardinals are tough early on. It's a tough spread offense. It's tough to deal with. Tough to be in that shape right off the bat in week 1 to deal with Kyler Murray, his scrambling. That the team is just fast. The Chiefs are fast as well. So that's why the Cardinals are solid early on. They don't have DeAndre Hopkins. They lose Chandler Jones. I don't trust the Cardinals on defense in this game. Well, although the one thing is I keep talking about, they've more so not preseason, but more so in training camp, they've kind of worked with the idea of like 4-3 looks, which they've always been a 3-4, and they're considered a 3-4 base still. But I think that can really throw off offenses, especially if they throw that out there and they're moving Isaiah Simmons around. I heard about them and use him as like almost like a DB in the slot, which he did at Clemson a lot. So that can really throw offenses off. I don't think the Chiefs will be thrown off too much. So they're fully healthy right now. Juju, Valdez-Scantling, guys you kind of worry about. Edwards-Helaire, they're out there right now. So the Chiefs will definitely be fine offensively, but I think the Cardinals offense gets going as well. It's a tough one to deal with there. But I'm going to go with Chiefs 34-31. I can see the Cardinals, though. Tough game plan, tough to deal with early on. They're at home. They should be able to move the ball. Like, that shouldn't be a concern at all. The over-under is pretty low on this one for this type of game, especially for what I have at. I have at 65. That almost seems like a... what am I missing here? Both teams should be just fine on offense. So we'll see. We will see there. Next, Raiders-Chargers, got a squeaker, 1-point game, Chargers 28, Raiders 27. If this was in Las Vegas, this is one of those ones where I just picking the home team in this one. Chargers are favored by 3. They won't have J.C. Jackson, which is pretty tough. What they're gonna have to deal with Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, those guys out there without him, Hunter Renfrow. So that's pretty tough for the Chargers. They are pretty deep in the secondary though. But I think the difference in this one, I think both quarterbacks, both offenses will look very solid here and there. I think both pass rushes will look solid here and there. But yeah, the Raiders' offensive line going up against Bosa and Mack. And I know the Chargers' offensive line has to play a very good duo over there as well. But I'm going to trust, when you match those up, pass rush and offensive lines for both teams, I'm going to trust the Chargers a bit more, mainly because of the offensive line difference. So the Chargers do just enough here to get the job done, but it should be a really fun game. 28-27 Chargers. Next, we got the Bucks and the Cowboys. I got this line was, I think, 1 and 1.5, then 2. Now it's 2.5. I got the Bucks taking care of business. I know the game was close last year. It's in Dallas this time. Brady was away not too long ago for a portion of the season, but Brady could be away for a long time and he'll be fine. And they have the weapons all over the place. They have the running game. The defense is healthy right now. They have a really good defensive front that's going to shut down the run from teams, and they have a pass rush, whether it's off the edge or the blitz. The Cowboys don't have Tyrone Smith. They don't have La'el Collins because he's in Cincinnati. They don't have Connor Williams. So that's tough, that offensive line. So I think Dak will get pressured a lot in this game, and he can still play a solid game, but I think he'll get pressured quite a bit. That's kind of the difference for me. And the Bucs have the weapons to be able to take advantage on offense on top of that. So I'm pretty confident with the Bucs. There are some people picking the Cowboys out there, and the spread has been pretty damn low. So it's like another one of those. It's like a trap game for some reason, but I like the Bucs. Then Monday night, I got a big victory for the Denver Broncos, a Russell Wilson Seahawks revenge game. The Seahawks I don't think could do enough offensively. The stout Broncos defense, healthy right now. Some good big-time ball players out there. Geno Smith starting, and he just doesn't have enough sometimes. Like, he can be accurate, he can make a play here and there, but I just don't think he'll have enough in this game. And the Seahawks can run the ball, but they're going to have to start with the ball and run the clock, and get on the board early for them to be able to continue to be effective on the ground. I just think the Broncos could take a lead early on in this game where the Seahawks might be put in a position to pass, and that's tough. That's tough. So I just like the Broncos a lot better on both sides of the ball here. I think they'll get I think we'll see a mixture of run and passing early, then maybe some run the clock as well, because they know once they get a lead by like 2 scores, they know they're in the driver's seat, manage the time of possession, and let's save everybody. Let's move on to the next week. Let's get out of week 1 with the victory here. That's how they're not going to come out the gate like that. You can't. Nobody can. But they're going to come out and try to get a quick 2-score lead, because then they put the Seahawks in a very uncomfortable situation. It's one of those types of matchups there. So I like the Broncos covering. 6.5 is a lot for week 1, but I just look at the matchup here. I like the Broncos covering. I mean, all hell is going to break loose if the Seahawks manage to win this game. It's going to be crazy out there. Could you imagine if the Seahawks beat Russell Wilson and the Broncos over there? It'd be pretty crazy. Week 1, strange things happen. Mysterious things happen. People overreact to them all the time, so we'll see. But those are my score predictions. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're back with this video every single Wednesday. We have straight up picks up. It's a fun time with the other guys on the Goat House there. Power rankings, a lot more to come. We have all kinds of talk and content on our Twitter, link down below. We got a giveaway going on, link down below. We got picks leagues with big-time prizes and more going on. Links down below for that as well. Check it out down there. That is going to do it for this one, though. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.